Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our returning guest, Richard Wilson. We're here to break down Halloween Girl and everything in between. Welcome to the stream, Richard. How have you been since you last been on, man?
It's been great. It's been like, terrifying and wonderful. But it's great to be back here with my bud because, it's like, hometown welcome here. So it's nice to be back the day after the book officially went on sale. So thank you for having me, Cody.
No, absolutely. And I had the opportunity to read the issues 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thank you so much for those PDFs. And man, this was such a awesome ride. We were talking a little bit about the ending to 4, and before we get into that, real quick, give us a little bit of a recap of who you are. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off either. Sorry.
No, that's totally cool. I mean, basically, used to do. I did films for most of my life, and I had a company called Outreach Arts. Did a lot of educational stuff and things like that. We won an Emmy, we had Emmy nominations and stuff. We did a lot of stuff on PBS and stuff. And then I switched over from that. I retired from that and got into making kind of horror films, which I've always loved, with our Mancelli Films project. And that's how the Halloween Girl got started. We made a film called The Halloween Girl about, now it's like 7 years ago. And that led to a web series, which was a spinoff called Under the Flowers. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of morphed into, I thought, I cannot tell these stories with these little tiny web series. So I said, I'm diving in and I'm doing the graphic novel. Because again, this didn't come out of the blue. I've always been a big fan. I've always been a massive fan of graphic novels. I love comics, don't get me wrong, but graphic novels have blown me away since I was like 25, and that's a long damn time ago. So I mean, it was scary to jump in, but I got to tell you, I've never been happier as a writer doing the Halloween Girl, doing these books. And I mean, this is just the first, so I've written several,
I want to dive into the reason why you love graphic novels so much. But before we do that, you just casually brushed over Emmy nominations.
I know, but I mean, it's like to me, I'm like really proud of it, and I'm proud of all the work. We were out to dinner tonight with my daughter's home, and we all went out to dinner, and we're kind of like an entertainment family. Mm-hmm. This is what we do. And my daughter, I'm going to brag for a little bit. I might have bragged last time, but she works for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I remember that. That's so awesome.
Right. Well, and so she works behind the scenes and does all that stuff. And she grew up with us, me and her mom, making films and all that kind of stuff from the time she was little. And we kind of have I don't want to say don't take it really heavy seriously, but we don't get caught up in it. It's like, to us, like, doing it is, we have a lot of respect for how it all comes together. We're not into the flashy part of it. You know what I mean?
Showboating.
So we're proud of like things that happen, like Emmys and things like that. But it's, I don't know. It's like being a farmer, man. Mm-hmm. It's a family farm, and you farm, and it's like, well, we're not going to get excited over the fact that we got the prize cow this year. It's like, we are excited, but we're not going to make more of it than we should. This is just what we do. And it's all, I met my wife in the theater, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, this is who we are. And it's not, we don't act like it's more than it is. It's just like plumber, it doesn't matter, I'm just saying it's what we do. And I mean that sincerely, because I know that it's an odd thing, because we're, that we're a family that does that stuff, but we're very grounded about it, is what I'm trying to get at. I don't, we don't get too caught up in it. My daughter was nominated for an Emmy, national Emmy, for something she did for Saturday Night Live.
That is so. You have to be so proud that she followed in your footsteps.
Proud. And again, I don't want to make it like we're like, yeah, well, so what, man? We are very proud, but we also, it's a job. Mm-hmm. And it's a job, and that's what you do, and we're really proud of it. But we don't get caught up in it. Some people do, and that's their thing.
I just love, I was stoked because my daughter, she's been playing video games, and she got past some pretty difficult puzzles in this new game called Stray. And then you're over here and you're like, my daughter's nominated for Emmys and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, yes.
But I was just saying, I know the feeling when she was little and the things she would do. And I said to her tonight at dinner, I said, you really do love behind the scenes work, and she's really a good producer. that's where she's headed to kind of get to do that full time. She gets to do it kind of part the time now at Saturday Night Live.
So cool.
But she's good at that, and she's good at putting all that together. But she's also very creative, but she doesn't care about that. She can do that. You should see that. I mean, I don't want to. I'll go on and on about her. But my point is, it's just I don't know. It's like I think people make too much of it. When you're doing it and it's part of your life, you like realize how much more people make of it. It's just a job, and you hope to do it well, and that's it. You know what I mean? And that's where
I think keeping that level like within yourself like helps just push yourself farther though, right? Like because like to you, like it's not going to change what you're doing differently. No. You at least just got you get like what like validation that what you're doing is the right path.
Right. And you know what the thing of it is, before you get the validation, when you dream, when you're young and you're and you're dreaming about this, you think it's going to solve all your problems. It's a bunch of shit, man. It doesn't solve anything. It's a job. You solve it. Whether or not you're getting an award or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like whatever problems you have, you still have them after you win the award. And
so it doesn't like open any doors for you though? Like maybe get you any easier roles or anything? It helps with
work. Yes. It helps with work. It helps with people taking you more seriously as time goes on, like as you build your career. And I'm sure you know that because it's like you become this like thing. It's like it's like everybody knows who you are, but because you're establishing yourself. But it's no different. It's just like they're building blocks. Yeah. It's not like, oh, I've arrived. You never arrive, and if you arrive, you might as well be dead. So don't arrive, dude. Just keep chugging.
You gotta keep climbing the hill, right? It's like that quote.
Yeah,
the wolf on top's never as hungry as the one climbing.
Yes, but yeah. So that's that. But I'm very proud of the work that we did. It just ran its course, and it was time. So I transitioned into my first love, which is horror, really. Transitioned from trying to save kids and their families to writing horror stories.
Horror stories about children going missing too, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of like, it's funny because I almost feel I can tell the stories about that stuff, like that level of kind of like heaviness better. I used to have to basically be, we get about 15 or 20 minutes to make these films because they were part of presentations for classrooms and things like that. Like they were part of a whole thing. The teacher, whoever would have, there would be icebreakers. So they'd be these intense, mini operas, and then bang, okay, kids, you know what I mean? So it was very intense. Now I get to stretch out with the books, and I really get to linger and dive in there, and I feel like I'm able to talk about some of these dark issues that I wrote about for years. And I met a lot of kids with a lot of problems, and I think they're better, almost like you can feel it more, with the book. I say books. I have to stop and say book because that's the only thing that's out is one book. But I think the vibe that I've always been going after, which is trying to show, the world can be a really dark place, but there's a lot of light too, and that's been the theme. So really, it's all the same thing. It's like a Rubik's Cube, and I think I said that last time we talked. But it's like, to me, it's all a Rubik's Cube. It's all the same work. It's just done a little bit differently. You know what I mean?
I could never solve those things. I know there's a trick to doing it, but I could never figure it out.
I'm a total loser. I can't do that. No. My sister probably could, though.
My sister probably could too, but not me.
Yeah, not me either, man.
We're just two dudes who can't do it. So this brings us, how the love of graphic novels. Is it the ability to read the whole entire story in one sitting? Is it, the feel of the graphic novel? Like, for me, I love the way a graphic novel feels.
But see, you grew up and graphic novels were a thing. They were already there when you came into this universe.
Mm-hmm.
I was 25. I'd just gotten married, and all this stuff. And I love comic books from when I was a kid. I told you last time, I was a big fan of all the Marvel horror comics and the Warren horror comics and things like that when I was little. But back then, you thought of comics as something very different. It was like, oh, they're fun. and then you get rid of them when you're little, and then you move on. When you're little, you enjoy them, and then you move on, and you get into rock and roll and girls and whatever. But then I'm married, I'm in the bookstore, my wife's off doing something else, and I pick up The Dark Knight Returns, and I'm like, what the hell's this? Because I love Batman, right? Mm-hmm. And it was the first thing I'd ever seen, and I'm like, oh my God, it's 1989, and I'm going, holy crap, you can do this with comics? Like, this was mind-blowing to me. And it was taking a form and, smashing it on the ground and basically gluing it in different directions, trying to put it all back together. And I thought, oh, I love this.
That is so funny.
But that was my thing. And from that point on, I was a fan, and I used to really kind of like lurk and follow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it was still, is this a real thing? You know what I mean? And then I got into Neil Gaiman into the 90s and things like that with Death, with the Sandman spin-off Death and all that. And then it just grew. But it was always something in the background that I was fascinated with. And I thought, what a brilliant, because to me, I like to put together things that are immediate. Like, even when we were doing the films, it was great that they were short. Here you go. You can fold it up, put it in your back pocket, and use it. Take it out and use it when you need it. I don't like, I'm going to write a novel. I will go see brilliant films like Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life, which is my favorite film. Could I ever make that? No. I can't. I have to kind of, like we talked about before, we both love rock and roll. And to me, it's got to be, bang, 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 bang. It's got to be that kind of like, storytelling, like, let's get to the point. And I don't know. I'm losing my thread here, but I just like formats that are immediate. Mm-hmm. Not because I have a short attention span or whatever. It's because I've always felt like the clock ticking, and that whether it's me talking to you, we're trying, we're going to, well, not you and me, but anybody connecting with somebody. You only have so much time, and it's important to connect. It's not like, oh, that'd be nice. No, it's really important to connect. And I think that the more immediate, that's why I don't have a snobbery when it comes to art forms. I love, quote, high art. You know what I mean? I'm into all that stuff. I started out kind of in that, but I don't have any
shaking the wine.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have any love for I don't have any oh, well, this is what you do. No, you just take the thing and you use it. Mm-hmm. And for this story, for what I'm trying to tell, a graphic novel is absolutely the best incarnation of this story. There is no doubt in my mind. And I've never been, again, I'm a broken record, but I've never been happier as a writer writing graphic novels, because I feel like I get to finally stretch out and just be myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying it was funny earlier because you were like, you were born with them, and I was going to make the Batman quote, like with Bane, where he's like, I was molded by the darkness, you were born into the light. And then you were like, it was 1989, that was the year I was born. I was like, holy crap, I actually was born into it.
Yeah, no, I'm practically dead. So, I'm just hanging on here. Yeah, no, no, really. Yeah. So, but I love Batman too, because Batman's like, Batman,
and that was such a great graphic novel too.
Oh my gosh, it's so awesome, isn't it? I bought it that day instantly in the store, and I just couldn't stop talking about it. I was telling I remember we stopped over to see my parents, and I bought it, because that was, we'd stop over and see my parents, but we went back to the condo or whatever, and we were like, I was like, Dad, this is really different from the comics that you used to buy me when I was a kid. I just was like so enamored with this whole thing. But I really found some neat stuff during that period, things that I think are lost now that people would never that never got picked up. But I've just found some really cool things, because I just like anything that's going to crack open the door wider. And I think that if you can find a new way to tell stories, let's do it, because it's opening the door to communication wider. That's the reason I like it. Not because it's fun and it's cool. We can talk better. We can communicate more clearly if we find better forms, better ways to do it. That's all it's about. And it's also fun as hell. So,
speaking of that, there's some unique form of communication within this graphic novel as well, and it comes in the form of the Hollow. So give us a little bit of a breakdown of that, because we've learned a little bit about Halloween Girl last time, but this time let's get to the juice of it.
Well, the Hollow for me, it's funny because I wrote the book like a little over 2 years ago, and the Hollow has kind of revealed itself more and more and more and more as time has gone on. But when I grew up, I look at the world, like I said, I'm old. So I was a little kid during the late 60s and the early 70s when everything was changing. The world was really like, hey, we're going to be better. We're going to fight for this. We're going to be better. And then literally by the mid 70s, it was like everybody got tired. And I'm not even being a smartass. I'm telling you, this is exactly what it was like. And they just stopped and they said, we need a break. Nixon's gone. We need a break. And the 60s were a lot. Because the 60s, like, if you were living in that time, they went on till about 1973 or 1974. It was still the 60s. You know what I mean? That vibe, it was not like, so then that's over with. And what I felt was the Hollow represents that period, which was, okay, we're taking a break. Yeah, we're taking a break and we're never coming back. We're taking a break and we're taking a break for generations. And as somebody who, again, it's a very strange thing because I was tiny. I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. But you could, and I think, you know, the sensory perception of the time from when you're little was like, oh, you know, you really can, if you lived around that time, you can like, you can feel the marker come down. You know, it went from color to black and white. It really did. And it stayed black and white. And so it felt to me that the Hollow, or kind of like that experience in my life, was the world, at least this country, kind of sat on its ass, didn't want to really stand for much, didn't want to pick up the ball and throw it, just sat there, ordered room service, you know what I mean? And just sat there watching TV for generations. And then what happens is over time, the idea is, well, you know, we're smugly not making choices because that's not cool. There are no good choices. Why vote? That was a big thing for a long time.
It's still a big thing.
It's unfortunately still a big thing. I think it's a little less because the stakes have gotten so high, but it's still like, why vote, man? Everybody sucks, man. You know what I mean? And it's like, by not making a choice, you make a choice, man. And then my experience in sitting here and living all these years and looking at it is, evil is an easy choice at the end of the day. You get so worn down, it seems, yeah, whatever, why not? And that's the Hollow. The Hollow is Switzerland, you know, watching good and evil battle it out, but we're not getting involved in this, man. Stupid, man. You know what I mean? We're above all this. That's the thing that always kills me. We're above all this, and that's the Hollow. And then this guy says, you know what? I think I can like manipulate the crap out of this. And I think I can actually do something with this. And he chooses evil, makes a pact with the devil, says, hey man, if you can help me out, I can help you out. You know, and it's all an intellectual exercise anyway, which is garbage. And that to me is what the Hollow is. The Hollow represents the way people shut the valve off the rainbow. You know, they turned the rainbow off, in a sense, and never turned it back on, and got darker and darker and darker, just sitting back. And I mean, you weren't even born, but the cynicism that crept in by the time you were born was so palpable. And I remember even being part of that myself when I was in my like early 20s or whatever. You know, it was cool just to be angry and not care about anything. You know what I mean? Like, you know, what's the point, man? You know what I mean? And, you know, we would mock our older brothers and sisters who were, you know, true baby boomers. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't have any, but, you know, that's what I mean. You know, like we would mock our older, those that came right before us, you know. But the truth of the matter is, people sat on their ass and they got darker and darker and darker. And then suddenly darkness just seemed like a natural choice. And that's what the Hollow is all about. The Hollow is about that. The Hollow is about this cold, calculated, cynical place that we've been for generations, and then suddenly evil's just is a natural choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's easier to be evil. It's always easier to be evil, than it is to be good. I'm not one to quote Morrissey, especially after all he's, done.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the old lyric, it takes strength to be gentle and kind, that I remember from long, long ago. It's true. It takes a lot of strength to do the good stuff. And the Hollow were just kind of the most cynical, awful bunch around. And then they get involved and they become kind of like evil spoilers, in the world of the Halloween girl. And everything revolves around the Hollow in this book. If it weren't for the damn Hollow, Charlotte wouldn't have had her demise.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Poe wouldn't have had, it's all connected. And now they're all like, this is crazy. We have to do something. And that's what it feels like now. It's like the bottom is falling out.
Yeah.
And people are like, holy crap, we got to do something. And people are rushing around trying to, stop the bleeding, and save save the world. I mean, and that's really what it feels like. And that's why I put that little dig in there about, you like the Hollow, we're like, oh, well, you mean the assholes who don't vote or whatever.
Yeah.
Charlotte says that to Poe, or when she's describing the Hollow to her. But it's true. I have absolutely no time for that kind of cynicism. You're either going to participate or you're not. And if you don't participate, you're hurting. It's like peeing in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? By not participating, all you're doing is peeing in the pool, and everyone else is trying to keep the pool clean. You're like, yeah, well, I don't believe that. It's like, well, good for you. You just peed in the freaking pool, asshole. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how I feel about the Hollow, and that's what the Hollow represents to me. Just the cynicism that in my generation I witnessed as I got older, from a kid on up, and how basically everybody had what they needed to do laid out before them, in my opinion. We were moving forward, then I said, nope. No, that's too much work. That sounds too much like work.
We have Dr. Hino419 over on YouTube stopping and say, hey, welcome to the stream, man. How are you doing? We're here with our good friend Richard, just catching up, breaking down Halloween Girl. So how much of Halloween Girl would you say is kind of like a reflection of society, just kind of like in your own like words?
For me, it's a big reflection. For me, for me, I think life is perpetually a David and Goliath thing when you're here. You know what I mean? Now, the illusion is that Goliath is the Hollow, this giant thing that's going to, in truth, you're really bigger than that. And you can make the difference, and you can squash that. The illusion is that it feels like it's overwhelming and it's going to, you're not, you alone, you're not enough. Yes, you are. And that's really what this book is about. You are enough. You can make a difference. The two of them are these two crazy girls, and they're trying their best. But the point is, they're going to do the hard work. Poe is going to make the sacrifice and go off and do that. And Charlotte is going to, it's hard for her to be on her own. But she's going to do it because she's got to do it, and she's got to find the way. And things open up for them because they have the right heart. They have good hearts, and they want to do the right thing, and they make a difference. And they do between the two of them kick the Hollow, kick some Hollow butt. Let's put it that way. All right, because we're bigger than we realize, and that's really what the book is about. We by ourselves we're not these puny. What can I do? Hold the door, smile, as I said last time. Whatever. Just, let your light out and try and be the best person you can. And you're not going to be perfect. At least try. Don't say, what's the point, man? Everybody sucks. No, that doesn't do anything. But if you choose to move the needle in a good direction, you can. And that's what Charlotte and Poe are all about. They're going to do the hard work, and it pays off. And, they're the heroines, and they kick ass. So,
after reading this, I loved every bit of it. And one thing that really stuck out to me was like the art too. It looked like, especially in issue 4, there was some different art styles. So who was all involved on this, creative team?
I was really fortunate in that, like what I said to you last time, we had a lot of really great people. Stephen Mullen did the first 2 issues. He's from Ireland, and He was wonderful. He really always set the table. And Pedro Vaughn came in from Brazil to do issue 3. You know, very stark, moody, like dramatic. You know what I mean? Like sensual kind of, you know, art. You know, but really like very. I love that late 60s, early 70s black and white horror. You know, that Warren did, and that also Marvel picked up on during that period with a lot of the Spanish artists that kind of came to market. Thank God. They're just, I mean, they're brilliant. And I still love them. I'm sorry, I got this cough, these stupid allergies.
Oh no, you're fine. I've been sniffling. I'm coming off a cold myself.
I hear you too.
Is that weather?
Everybody, we're all doing it.
Yeah, it's that time of the year.
Yeah. So so he came in, he did that. Then Wanderer Luna, who I don't know her name, that is her moniker, and that's what she goes. Prior to the war in Russia, we were working together. She's from Russia and very anti-war and all that stuff. So we were working together when the war broke out, and it was like, you know, we were allowed to continue to work together through Fiverr because we had already continued. She was not for what's happening right now to begin with, and she was just, so maybe that's why she doesn't like give her name. You know,
did you guys have trouble with like the sanctions and stuff, or was it because you already had the pre-existing?
We came very close, but because we had started work prior to the war breaking out, we were allowed to continue because I was kind of like stuck. I was there in the middle of it, and she was already like in the, you know, we were in the midst of After 4, and they said, no, it's cool, you know, if you'd already started work prior to the war breaking out, you can continue, you know, and so I worked with her on that, and you know, and so she had her spin on it, and then in the last 3 chapters, which you'll read later on, we are Sharif, who did I'm going to say her last name wrong, Mezoid, who's from North Africa. She did she did Chapter 5, and Eleanor Garofalo. And Carlotta Cesaro, who did the lettering for 6 and 7, both from Italy. Amazing. I cannot, like, I have the best team, and some people are saying, why do you have all these different artists? It's like, number one, it's very hard to get a book done without a bunch of different artists coming on board. But to me, when I was doing theater and I would write plays, I would love different directors coming in, you know, and say, oh, you're going to do this. Even if it wasn't like something I would necessarily choose. It was like, it's fascinating. I love people saying, this is my take on, this is how I see them. So I love that, because to me, it's even more like a dream. It shifts and changes. Now, I know some people find that, it throws me off. Well, I can't do anything about that. I love that. I love the fact that we're going to take, you know, we're going to see things from different perspectives and all that. So, so basically everybody's from, you know, it's the freaking United Nations, man. And I couldn't be happier. They are just a brilliant group, and what a nice group of people to work with, you know. Found them all through Fiverr.
Oh, that is so awesome. Real quick, we have Dr. Hino 419. Mr. Wilson, how did you get into comics again? So give us the quick rundown of it.
The quick rundown is basically through the films. And I tried to get other people to adapt the films we were making. And then I decided, okay, well, I'm going to start to try and learn how to do this myself.
He's like, fine, I'll do it myself.
The hell with it. The hell with it. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't, you know, I was very intimidated by, you know, I thought, you know, I'm a big fan, so I didn't look at it as, oh, comics are easy. I never did that. So I did a lot of research, read a lot of books. You and I were talking to them with a bunch of people. You were asking for different books or whatever. You were talking about getting into it. And I did the same thing. I did all this, you know, research as far as how does the format work, all that kind of stuff, and looked at it from every angle, and then really dove in and started to write it. And if it weren't for my good buddy Kevin McElroy, who's been one of my best friends for years, worked with me on tons of the films and actually helped with the layout of the book, he's the one who said, you know, I'm working just for fun to see, I'm doing some concepts with comics characters over at Fiverr. I said, what the hell is Fiverr? And that's how it took off. So I took the script and I said, you know, I was fortunate enough to have some cash, business, enough money put aside that I could invest in this project. Not everybody is. Most people are going to do that, but I was fortunate in that I had this. I've been in business a long time, so it's not like I'm some, you know what I mean? I have a few more resources than the average person starting out. So, so I did that, and I invested. And I will say that in getting involved, you can find brilliant people on Fiverr. You really can. But you have to really be, like anything else, very discriminating.
Yeah.
And really do the research. So really the thing of it is, it's about research. I did all the research about how to write these things, how the format works, really dug into it deeply, and then found a way to make it happen. And a lot of the people that we worked with, they're certainly not charging the prices that somebody here in the US would charge. So that made it a hell of a lot easier to get it done and dusted. I hate to be a cynical businessman, but that helped a great deal. The only American person that we had working on the project, and again, these are the people we found, Jane Kurt, who did the cover, who did the brilliant cover of the book. She's just dynamite. And even she was terrific as far as just price and everything. But I tried to get some American artists, and way out of what I had to work with, a little bit of investment money that I had. So
we have a Dr. Hino 419. Research is important. I've been doing my share for over a year now, and I appreciate how much effort it takes to create. Yeah, there's so much that goes into this. You have to wear so many different hats. And yeah, dude, Richard, so this is already dropped? The graphic novel's already out?
Dropped yesterday.
Where can people find it? Like what websites?
You can find it you go to like Barnes & Noble, right? Because Barnes & Noble is where I'm directing people, because it's on Amazon, but they've got like UK distributors showing up now, which is ridiculous. So they're charging way more money. Go to Barnes & Noble, look up the Halloween Girl by Richard T. Wilson, and that's where you need to get it. Or you can order from your local comic shop.
So which one's going to get you the biggest cut, though? Get you the most
cheddar? It's all the same. I would love for people to order from their local comic shops if they have, if they frequent them every week or whatever, or every other week. That would tickle me, to no end. And I'm going to announce tonight that what we're going to put out next week was one of the things, as people start getting their books, if you take a picture of yourself with the book, we will send you a free copy, a Blu-ray or a DVD of the original Halloween Girl.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So there's a whole thing, you send it to HalloweenGirl@madshelleycomics.com, and then we'll post it and send you, just send your mailing address, and we'll send one right out to you. We've got, everything's beautiful copies of the original film that started it all. So that's what we're doing. So
man,
really,
I love some exclusives. Let's go. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. I'm going to kick that off this week. So I thought I'm going to mention that tonight. So yeah.
So with this just releasing, what's next for you? What's next on the horizon for Richard?
Well, I have 2 more books that I finished, and I did them during the pandemic.
Wow, you've been busy.
Yeah, no, it was a lot. Yeah, but Cody, honestly, and we talked a little bit about this. I had a really rough time during it, and in part, they really helped me through that. And I've got the next one is called Gods and Monsters. And the third one is called Seasons of the Witch. And the third one is really pandemic centric. So not as much about the Hollow, but it's kind of like, it's my masked autobiography about going through the pandemic in a way. And I have an idea for a 4th book that I'm working on now, but I couldn't focus on it this year. There was so much going on with the book that I realized that if I did what I usually do was just keep writing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because that's what kind of keeps me level or whatever, just to keep writing. Really, it's true. If I did that, I would have been out of sync with the artists as they were sending in the stuff. I forget so much so quickly about what I've done in the past. And if I didn't stay present during that, especially this summer, after I talked to you especially, it really ratcheted it up. You're getting art coming in left and right, like every day. And if I didn't stay there, I would have really screwed. I really would not have been a good partner, because I know myself. We would shoot films and I'd be out there and an actor would say a line, and I go, that's really great. I love how you ad-libbed that. And they say, it's in the script. I'm like, oh, okay. No, I'm serious. This is happening.
I get it.
I don't remember these things. And it's not good. And I thought, if I'm going to go talk to Cody and talk to everybody during the next month or so, I got to stay in this story. So it's been weird. It's been weird for me to not be engaged in another book. You know what I
Like
mean?
for me, like I feel that like because I read different books every day, so it's hard for me. Like I have to read the book an hour before the interview, or
Yeah,
like my
right.
brain is mushed. It's like pudding, and I'm like misquoting other books. Like I don't want that to happen.
Right, right. Yeah, well, you know what it's like then. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
stay like, clear. But that was a real lesson for me. So, I mean, and I think it's been a good choice. I was kind of scared. I was like, oh crap, I'm not used to not really diving into the next thing. But these books right now are my world, and I really just want to. I really just want them to find their audience, and that's it. I mean,
Are they
that's
in
all
the
I care
same
about.
universe as Halloween Girl?
Yep. All
That's
the same
awesome.
universe. All with Charlotte and Poe. The next one deals with the fallout from the Hollow, and kind of it's a very much more horror in the next one, and the other one is much more personal. I'm really happy because all three of them are very different books. It's not like here we are again and the Hollow is reconstituted. It's not like that. They're all very different books.
Oh, that is awesome. I can't wait. If it's anything like as good as Halloween Girl, it's just going to be amazing and a fun read, man. These books are fun. They're enjoyable.
Thank
They're
you.
not like a slog. Like the writing is just, you could tell that you have experience in the game, man. It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. It means a lot because it's very nerve-wracking. Right the other day after the book came out, it's like, I hope people still like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how's it feel though to launch this? After touching the first graphic novel in '89, to have your own releasing in 2022, how's that feel?
I have it like right here, and I'm like, I can't believe it's like
that looks good.
I mean, I'm like, it's just like. I was so worried about the technical aspects. I know this is going to sound really funny, but maybe other people can relate to this who are doing it, right? Who might be listening at that. The technical part of this, because you're becoming a publisher, and it's like, I want to learn everything I can learn. I almost screwed it up at the very last minute. I didn't understand, for instance, things like it said 55-pound paper, right? When you're going to get it all lined up and getting everything in order. Well, that's freaking copy paper. Like shitty copy paper.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I almost set it out like that. But literally, there was an angel on my shoulder that said, you ought to look even a little more deeply into this.
Yeah.
And so it went out on 70, which is what you make comics on. You know what I mean? But I lost a lot of, I lost a few years of my life the last couple of months worrying about.
That would have been a scary mishap too.
Oh, it would have been terrible. But I had these things, and I would do all kinds of research. So we're talking about research. You can do tons of research and still miss stuff. You know what I mean? And I was so worried about screwing it up that I would say the last couple of months were really, really nerve-wracking. And it's not so much about, oh yeah, you're putting out this thing that you really care about. That's huge. But screwing it up and because these artists, they all had the guidelines for what an American comic is. But every artist is going to put their panels where the hell they're going to put their panels too.
Yeah.
And it's all just a little bit off here, a little bit off there. It all fit. But and I was so worried. I hired somebody to format it when it was done.
Yeah.
No,
I would have done the same.
Myself. No, really. But these are the things that people don't talk about when it comes to if you're going to do this yourself. I've never done this, and you can read and read and read, and I mean those things really kept me up at night because all I could think was I'm missing something, and that was kind of one of the worst things that I used to go through with film too. But this was worse, way worse, because I cared even more about this than I did about some of the projects that the film projects.
Is it because it's like you're the head of it? Like you're
right.
Essentially like instead of a huge production team, it's just
right. You've got to figure it all out. So math is not my strong point, and so,
mine either.
You know what I mean? Right. So that was part of it, and you are reminded daily when you're a kid about how terrible you are at something like that. So those things haunt you, and you're like, oh, I'm going to screw this up. Because my mind, I think when you're a creative person, and I'm sure you run into the same thing, is that it's like dreaming all the time. You're dreaming, and it's hard to, okay, here we are, we're here, and we have to figure out like nuts and bolts things. And it's hard to get that dreamer to quiet down and figure this out and figure that. And sometimes it just doesn't work at all because your brain just doesn't work like that. So I've always had to work overtime to overcompensate for these things, including during all the years I made the films, because when it came to using equipment, I'd have to work 10 times harder than somebody who was more adept at those things to understand everything. But because I meant so much to me, I would put the work in. And going back to that earlier question, it's about really putting the work in. If you really care enough about it, you're gonna feel the pain because that's necessary to get to where you need to go. So
that needs to be on a shirt. I don't say that very much during this, but that what you said needs to be on a shirt.
I don't know. What did I say?
That last part, man. You gotta love what you're doing. You gotta have passion for it, right? Because
really
if you don't, what's carrying you? What's pushing you? What's motivating you to get out of bed? What's motivating you to work when you're sick?
Well, that's the truth, Cody. And I mean, the thing that is, it doesn't get easier when you get older. It's like if you haven't invested in the thing that lights you up. Let me tell you what, as you get older, it gets harder and harder and harder. So I see people, and I see people who really are very unhappy I think kept waiting for things to turn around for them. You got to turn the things around for yourself, and you got to start right out of the gate. And it's not perfect. See, I hate it when people say that because we all fall down, we all make mistakes, we all do this, but you have to get up and keep going, and know that it's worth it. I think is what it's not about impressing other people. It's about feeling happy for yourself. And it's I think too many people are worried about impressing people with things, and they're making gods with their neighbors or something.
I heard this one quote this morning. It's like when people think they're when people think they're good, they tell people, but when people are great, other people tell people for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true because you're not. You shouldn't be concerned with having a parade thrown for you.
Yeah.
You should just be out there trying to do the right thing for yourself and everybody around you, and it doesn't matter what that is. It doesn't matter what that is. It's not about doing this thing or that thing. It's about just follow your gut and it's just too easy to get thrown off in this world. It really is. I think we all are like. You come into this world, your ass is slapped, you're scared to death, you spend your life being, you're either going to be scared all the way to the grave, you know what I mean, and buy into whatever you can to, like, whatever blanket anyone's selling you until you're dead, or you're going to say, hey, what is this? What am I supposed to do here? And fall, get up, but figure it out. But I see many people just kind of doing this, all the way until they die. You know what I mean? And wow, what a waste of time, I'm
picking up Home Alone vibes there.
Home Alone vibes, totally, yeah, definitely.
So we have a Calculus over on YouTube stopping in to say hi as well. Welcome to the stream, Calculus. I hope everything's good for you. So Richard, before we wrap things up completely, you've been on the show before, you know the drill. I always love asking a question for anyone who might be new or even seasoned and maybe just going through some troubles. So with that being said, let's kind of pick your brain for some deeper advice than last time. So for anyone out there who is looking to, maybe write a graphic novel of their own, something more than just issue one, something with, a little bit of meat to it, what would be some advice for someone to kind of just get the most out of their writing to do so?
Well, number one, it's great to take classes. It's great to read books about writing, about how to do it. But understand, these are just things to kind of inspire you and show you how things kind of can work. How, like to introduce you to things, but you can't make bad art. Okay. So already, how they always say, and I hate that they don't go any deeper than, everyone's got a story in them. You have a story in you. It is true, but you have to care enough about that story to find the best way to tell it. But you have this idea of, we were talking before the show started about, I mentioned something about gatekeepers. Here we go, gatekeepers. You know what I mean? Right? This is bullshit. You can't make bad art. Your story, whoever you are, is going to connect with somebody. But you have to believe enough in yourself to write the damn thing and get it out there and present it and go through all the, nerves that I just got done talking about, because it's worth it. It's the right, here's the thing, it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an option. And people look at these things as if they're these kind of, so I've got a book I'm working. It's like, it should be life or death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear about people. I love these people who are always talking about, for years, not young people. I mean, people who are like, so I'm working on this. It's really, how long is this going to take? You know what I mean? You connect with it, you find the best way to tell your story, and whatever format, it could be a comic book, it could be a film, it could be a piece of music, but believe in yourself, believe that it is a good story. And that's not a fairy story. That's the truth. You have a great story in you, but you have to believe enough in yourself to go, crank up the Who and kick the doors open and say, look, man, pay attention to this. This is important. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's really what it's about, because there is no bad art. Bad art doesn't exist. I go to museums all the time. I love going to art museums. It's a family thing. It's just like we're just wherever we're at, is there a museum, Well, I'm not going through the whole museum saying, I love everything in this, but I appreciate everything in it. And there are other things that really speak to me that I never forget. That's life. You have one of those paintings in you, everybody does, that's going to move somebody, that they're never going to forget it. But you have to believe in yourself to get it started. So you have the stuff, you just have to say, okay, I need to learn some mechanics about how to get this thing done. But it's not about, well, this is the way so-and-so does it. I want to read Stephen King, or I want to read, or I want to go read, Mary Shelley, or I want to, that's who they are. You know what I mean? Get some ideas about structure, things that inspire you, to inspire your own way of, but just do it. Just do it because you have to do it, because it's going to make a difference in the world. It's going to make a difference in your world and the world around you. It's not hey, it's a fun thing. It's a serious thing that's going to make a difference. That's going to have a ripple effect when you do it. And I don't think you've got to take yourself. Nobody should take themselves so seriously. Like I said, nobody should be Morrissey. But I'm just saying, nobody should. But you've got to take yourself seriously enough, your work seriously, that you're here for a reason to do your job. That's not asking for a parade. That's just saying, I got this thing and I think it's really important. I think it's going to move people. So do it.
You got nothing to lose.
You got nothing to lose.
The only thing you got to lose is if you don't, the regret that you take with you to the grave.
If you don't do it, you'll regret it. And you'll also find yourself, putting down other people who are having the balls to go out there and do it. That's what seems to be the constant. People who don't have, who hate to see other people actually doing something that they don't have the balls to do themselves. Go do it. Go do it. It's what you're here for. If it's knocking on your door, answer it. You'll be glad you did. So
I'm the one who knocks. A little Breaking Bad.
There you go. I was thinking about Breaking Bad the other day.
Everybody watching, Barnes and Nobles, get this graphic novel. Better yet, ask for it at your local comic book shop as well. Do. Richard, holy crap, this was such an awesome time. This might even be better than our first introduction.
Everything. I thank you so much for having me on, Cody. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. And thank you, everybody, for listening and all that stuff.
This was such a blast, man. Everyone watching, once again, check out Halloween Girl at your local comic book shop or Barnes and Noble. What's the price? Do you know what the price tag is?
It's $19.70.
Wow, that's an outstanding. There's 4 issues in it too, right?
There are actually 7 issues.
7 issues. So holy crap, you are getting a bang for your buck.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome. So you guys heard it here, and there is some exclusive news too. Take a picture with it, and you'll get a nice little DVD or Blu-ray of the original Halloween Girl. So that is so awesome. Once again, Richard, thank you for stopping by. Everyone watching, I hope you all have an awesome Sunday night, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.